the timing of this, as we were just talking about, teasing it at the top of the show, is just serendipitous, providential, whatever term you want to use, but it's something. All right. So yesterday, the Supreme Court just gives an all clear to just all out censorship industrial complex from the White House. Just go ahead, feel free to coercively conspire with your Silicon Valley pals and shut down stories that you want, and go after and shut down the engagements of people who say things you don't like. Just took the First Amendment, just took it right out there in broad daylight, and just shot it right there on camera. Now, we had scheduled this interview in advance of that ruling, not even knowing when that Murtha, Missouri ruling was going to come down. But the timing of that story yesterday with the timing of this story today is something else. All right, so let's get the details on this story. Scarlett Johnson is with Moms for Liberty there in Wisconsin, and her attorney, Luke Berg, is here as well. They join us here on The Blaze. It's a pleasure to have both of you guys with us. How are you? Scarlett first, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Thanks for having us.
Then, Luke, I'm going to start. Look, I'm actually going to start with you, because I want to go to the dichotomy that I just articulated for the audience. For you as an attorney, your thoughts on that contrast of these two events that I just drew for them and what they ultimately mean. Because we'll get into the details of this story in a second, but it's effectively your client is being sued for politically criticizing the behaviors of her school district. Okay, I mean, this is a clear free speech case, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is a trend that we're seeing on the left, right, repeatedly, which is we silence viewpoints we disagree with. We're trying to shut down speech, shut down opinions that we disagree with, and we're going to use any tool and vehicle we can to do that. And the case you talked about yesterday, that's one way that the left is trying to do that. The case with Scarlett that we're about to talk about is another. So I just think this is happening everywhere, and it's unfortunate to see, and so we need to fight back against it anywhere and everywhere it crops up.
All right, so Scarlett, let's go to you. Tell us your story. What happened?
Oh my gosh, my story. Well, I want to say that I inherited a world that had defeated communism, and look at where we're at now. It's a really sad state of affairs. My journey, I call myself an accidental activist, and my journey began, like so many of us in Moms for Liberty, with the COVID shutdowns and the tragedy that happened to our children. I got a peek behind the curtain of education and what was going on in classrooms because of virtual learning. And there was a window that was provided to us in which we could see the true nature of these bureaucracies and of the people that were in charge of our children's education. And we did not like what we were seeing. And that caused me, for the first time, to start to attend school board meetings, to understand what they were all about, to speak at school board meetings, to do whatever I could to open schools. I fought for everything. I fought to open up sports. I fought to open up schools and classrooms. I fought when the schools were open and our classrooms looked like juvenile detention centers. I fought masking. I fought everything for my kids. I fought the way that my children were treated like a vector for disease and not a precious soul. I fought the way that my district, like so many other school districts in Wisconsin, prioritized the safety of adults rather than the health and well-being of children. And in doing so, there are a lot of folks that did not like me in my school district, especially when I fought to recall 4 school board members and successfully recalled them. I eventually lost my election, but it became national news, and my district had to deal with a lot of things that made them uncomfortable. Enter George Floyd. And after the death of George Floyd, my district hired equity consultants to provide district-wide training sessions to talk about race with all community members and parents. And during those teachings, I started to hear buzzwords like equity, pedagogy, Ibram X. Kendi, Paulo Freire, all of that. And I did my research like so many moms did. And we discovered that we had in our district an equity consultant that was skilled in equity promotion, a social justice coordinator. And online, I expressed my opinion about such a position, and that particularly as a Puerto Rican woman who was raised in poverty, came from nothing and clawed my way out of poverty. My dad's a Marine. I'm grateful every day to be an American. I love my country, and I've raised my 5 children to love this country. But my husband is white, and I disapproved of a message where my kids were going to school and told that because their dad is white, he is inherently evil. And because my skin is brown, I am inherently a victim. And I have no agency over my life. And that message, that identity politics, I don't agree with. And it also doesn't work in education. There has been massive decline across all areas by every metric since we have become more what I would call woke. And I expressed my opinions about such a position, and that I thought it was a waste of taxpayer dollars, classroom time, and that it just wasn't any good for our district. And I made those criticisms against my school district.
Okay. Luke, that just sounds like everyday political activism to me. I mean, Scarlett, did you threaten anybody? I mean, did you send some, the people to throw eggs at any member of the school board's house, and a window got broken, or a rock went into a window instead and hurt somebody? Anything like that occur? These are the facts on the ground. That's it.
Now, while many of those things happened to me in my activism, death threats.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Children, and I had to get cameras all over my house. Yes. While terrible things happened to me, no, I never did anything like that.
So, look, I work in an industry where things get said about me all the time. Okay. And many of them aren't true. We're told the threshold for proving defamation is so high, particularly of any form of a public figure, that it's really just not even worth it. Okay, so what did she do here that would meet any threshold of defamation, other than just have a contrary political opinion and then work within the actual framework of exercising your voice politically in order to act on it? What's the act? What's the defamatory act here, Luke?
Well, the answer is nothing. I mean, when I read her posts, when I first was reviewing this case, I had the same reaction that you did, right? I've seen thousands, there's probably millions of posts just like this all the time. And this is not remotely close to anything that could be actionable as defamation. So the basic rule for people to be aware of is a statement has to be false to be actionable as defamation. It doesn't matter if it paints you in a bad light if it's true. And the sort of second order rule is it has to be the kind of thing that can be proved false. So you have to be able to objectively show that it is false. So, somebody might think I have bad hair and say, you have bad hair. Well, that's an opinion you can have, and other people might disagree. That's not the kind of thing that can be proved true or false. And so it's not actionable as defamation. And so courts around the country regularly throw out defamation lawsuits for the sort of name calling and the flourishing words that people use online. The particular posts that we're talking about here are pretty benign as it goes, right? She just criticized her school district for having a social justice coordinator. And then her last statement was something like, just what we need, more woke women, right? And so that is what this person sued for defamation over. And her attorney in the trial court moved to dismiss, made all the right arguments. The case should have been promptly dismissed, but instead, the trial judge said, nope, we're going to have a trial on whether this person is woke or not. And, as a lawyer, that's incoherent. I don't even know how you go about having a trial. Like, how do you prove whether a person is woke or not, right? So, if calling somebody woke is the kind of thing that is actionable for defamation, we would have thousands of these lawsuits. Steve, I'm sure you've used the word woke a few times in your public advocacy.
Well, I mean, isn't this a tacit admission that the word woke is bad?
Well,
I mean, it would only be defaming. It would only be defaming if indeed it's a negative term. I mean, what would be if you said, "Hey, great, another enlightened individual on the school board," you wouldn't be getting sued, right? So, I mean, if you're getting sued for using the term woke, the implication here, at least the tacit implication, if not the explicit one, is that the term woke is bad.
Right. That's sort of the funny irony of this case, right? The left used to wear that as a badge of honor. And now we've sort of flipped the script on that word. And so now we're going to get, defamation lawsuits over it because nobody wants to be labeled as woke, apparently.
So I honestly, and Scarlett, I've seen a lot of your stuff on social media. It's some of the smartest social commentary I've seen come out of your organization. Okay. This is one of the dumbest stories I've ever covered in the history of my career, is this story right here. It is absolutely... Now, I'm sure when you're the one being sued, it ain't dumb to you, okay? But here, from the outside looking in, this is one of the dumbest stories I've ever seen. This is like a Mother Jones fever dream that they would not even publish because it would be something that, as much as they'd love to do it, they know it would never happen, and yet it is actually occurring. I don't even know how to even react to this.
The process is the punishment.
Yes.
For 4 years, they have not been able to silence me. They have tried every means possible, and I'm still standing. And I think that's the message that I try to spread all throughout Wisconsin when I'm talking to folks, that don't be afraid of this paper tiger. You have to stand. So Lawfare is a tool that's being used to stop me from expressing my opinion, because there's a lot of things that I'm afraid of almost nothing, but bankrupting my family, that's kind of scary. Spending hundreds of thousands of dollars defending myself before a jury trial, Steve, it would be a jury trial. I would go to a jury trial for woke.
I just...
Yeah, right. and that's really the key.
I've got like in 90 seconds here, Luke. Sum up what's going to happen here and where this is going to go from here for us.
Yeah, so we basically, on behalf of Scarlett, asked to have an early appeal, so to take this issue, the legal issue, up on appeal so that she can avoid a jury trial. And I think the point she just made, that the process is the punishment, is the key point. Normally, you don't get an appeal until after a trial. She has to go through that. That's an enormous cost, time-wise, money-wise, emotion-wise. And so what we're hoping to do is take the appeal up and just have the court say, look, this is not actionable, and dismiss the case. And we're optimistic. The court granted our appeal, so now we're briefing and arguing the merits of the appeal. But we're very optimistic that we'll win ultimately, and then she can not have to worry about this anymore and continue her advocacy.
This is straight up lawfare, no question about it, and an attempt to just use the process, as Scarlett said, to punish her for her views. The process is the punishment indeed. Well, keep us abreast of how this goes, and I don't know what to even say other than, I guess, congrats that you made them stoop to this level, okay, to come at you. All right, keep it up, I guess. All right, thank you, Scarlett and Luke. Thank you, both of you.
Don't be mad about that.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, yeah. Maybe you'll get sued for being on this show, I guess. I don't know. All right, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Todd and Aaron, straight up, guys, it's one of the dumbest stories I've ever covered in my career. That's like not intentionally dumb, okay?
What you just said there actually is a perfect point. That's not rhetorical flourish. Why not just sue her for being on our show? What's the difference here?
I know.
You're making a statement of some kind of opinion just by coming on this show. I mean, I've had the good fortune meeting her at last year at this time when she was here in Des Moines. Incredibly nice guy, as you said, online, super smart, super diligent, puts in the time, puts in the work, isn't just popping off. She's a threat. This is my point. If you do And if it's not just her, and it probably is, if you all surround her with the same level, it's not activism, it's being a citizen. They can't pick her off like this. This is the problem. Everybody's got to stop just having opinions. They've got to do.
Yeah, I think we make a mistake in the thought that stupid and evil are not closely related. They kind of are, especially in a late stage republic. Everything declines, including just pernicious evil. So yeah, it's stupid, but it's evil nonetheless. What is it? Urzin's razors, it's just stupid or something like that. Aaron's razor, it's just demonic, bro. It's kind of the same thing. So yeah, it's dumb from the outside looking in. I feel for Scarlett. I mean, this has got to be loads of stress. All you're trying to do, she's just trying to have a say in her kids' education. That's a crime now. That's what the real message is here. They want you to know that they're trying to criminalize actually being a parent. That's the message. And yeah, from the outside looking in, this type of lawsuit for the details about it, what it looks like, yeah, it's really stupid. But the message they're trying to get across nonetheless is evil.